Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Welcome to another edition of Mean Streets, powered by FTN, presented by a Game Plus Network. Chris Meaney here with you. As always, I appreciate you hanging out here today. A lot to get to on this show. I am still on an absolute high watching all the football over the weekend. Just phenomenal stuff. The best weekend ever in the NFL, let's be honest. Some craziness in the NFL. Tino's going to drop by in a little bit. We're going to recap the games from the weekend. We'll take an early look at the two AFC NFC Championship games happening this weekend. We have the odds. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. We have 7 games on the ice and 4 games on the hard court, so we got some picks on this show as well. If you're watching over at Game Plus Network, we appreciate you. Always a great lineup over there. We ask you to head on over to our FTN YouTube page, smash the like button, subscribe to our FTN Network page, YouTube page. Also, this show available on iTunes and Spotify as well. We will have a giveaway a little bit later on the show. We've been asking people to give their favorite pick, their favorite prop, their favorite bet of the week, of the day, really. And it just took all of those bets, put them into a draw, and we're going to announce a winner. We've been giving away some betting packages, some DFS packages over the past couple weeks here on Mean Streets. So, man, what a wild, wild weekend in the NFL, right? I mean, first postseason round ever where we saw 4 winning scores on the final play, right? It started in Cincinnati with Tennessee. We had the Ryan Tannehill turnover, and then Joe Burrow got it to his boy Chase, got in field goal range, and Evan McPherson, 4 for 4 on Saturday, 8 for 8 in these playoffs. Remember, he was taken in the 5th round of last year's NFL draft, and a lot of people were taking shots at the Bengals. It's important to have a good kicker, and I think we saw that over the weekend. So that was a really good finish, an entertaining game, I thought, right? We didn't get a whole lot from Derrick Henry his first game. It was a monster game from A.J. Brown, and then we had, a pretty good game from Jamar Chase yet again, but cool, calm, collected Joe Burrow. I thought he was just phenomenal again in that game, so we had that walk-off win. And then Saturday night, the Packers choked at home. It was a tough weather game. There's obviously very cold and, a lot of drops and players losing their footing, but it came down to special teams, and the Packers are the worst special teams unit in football, and it really showed. Over the weekend, there was a blocked field goal there, and then they had the blocked punt turned into a touchdown, and then they only had 10 guys on the field after a timeout for the Robbie Gould game-winning field goal. From a props and betting standpoint, I mean, we were on the Niners. We were on the Bengals to cover both of those games. It was great. We had Joe Mixon catches and receiving yards. That was great. But Saturday, I have a lot of losses to take on Saturday. I had the over on a lot. Rodgers passing yards. Allen Lazard, where was he? Even took a little sprinkle on Randall Cobb. Had the over on Elijah Mitchell rushing yards. Nothing in that game. I thought that was the least exciting, honestly. But it did. There was, I was on edge. I was on edge watching that game, for sure. And the Packers again, right? They found a way to lose against San Fran. Aaron Rodgers 0-4. I don't know. I'm kind of speechless. We'll talk about that game with Tino a little bit, but the Packers, again, find another way to lose that game. And then into Sunday, 2 phenomenal games. It started with the Bucs and the Rams. The Rams got up to that big lead. They were winning 27-3, and I was thinking to myself, there's no way Brady can come back yet again, right? There's no way that Brady can come back. Cup fumble, Akers fumble. And that game was wild too, right? I mean, Brady fumbled the ball on the snap, and then Stafford wasn't paying attention, and the snap went over his head, and Jason Pierre-Paul found the ball, and then they come back, and they actually found a way to tie that game, and then the Bucs forgot about Cooper Kupp yet again, and then Matt Gay had the game-winning field goal, and then the final game of the night, the best game I've ever seen in the NFL. Hands down, it's not even close. It may be the best sporting game I've ever seen in my life. Phenomenal stuff. Honestly, 42-36, overtime win, 3 lead changes, a tie, 25 points in the last 2 minutes. Allen and Mahomes combined for 3 passing touchdowns, 221 passing yards in the final 2 minutes, 17 points scored in the final 73 seconds of that game. Unbelievable. And now we're sitting here. We have to talk about the NFL overtime rules, don't we? Don't we have to talk about them? Shouldn't they change? They should change. Like, it's not the reason that the Bills lost. It's still the number 1 pass defense in the NFL, right? They lost the coin toss, right? They've lost the coin toss. A couple years ago, we saw the same thing with the Pats and the Chiefs, and there was some talk about, the rule being changed. Chiefs were on board to have that rule changed. You're seeing some tweets surface today from Rap Sheet, Adam Schefter, and Field Yates talking about how they wanted that rule changed. And now I honestly think, don't you guys think, watching the show here, I could see the comments that they should change the overtime rule, a coin flip. They lost the coin flip and that was it. Josh Allen, what a phenomenal game from Josh Allen to march his team up twice and to take the lead with 13 seconds. I thought it was over. I still can't believe that Patrick Mahomes and company were able to march down the field in 13 seconds to get it done. I thought that the Bills shouldn't have kicked that. I don't think they should have kicked that ball into the end zone. I thought maybe a squib kick, right? Killed just 3 or 4 seconds off the clock. Then maybe you're looking at just defending a Hail Mary at the end instead of the field goal. But a phenomenal game. Credit to both quarterbacks. Records were set yesterday in the NFL. This is from ESPN Stats and Info. Both quarterbacks passed for over 300 yards. They both had 3 passing touchdowns. They both completed 70% of their passes, 0 picks. They both rushed for 65-plus rushing yards. They led their team in rushing yards. No other quarterback in NFL history had accomplished those feats in a game, regular season or postseason. It was a phenomenal game. It was fantastic. And it's tough. It's a tough pill to swallow if you're a Bills fan here today. I feel for them. On the wrong side of that game for sure. Overall, it was a pretty good weekend calling some picks and some props. We had Gabriel Davis over his receiving yard prop. He clearly crushed that. Tino, we got the 3 stars here from the weekend. It was really tough to pick the 3 stars, but I did go with Gabriel Davis. The 8 catches, 210 yards, 4 touchdowns. We had a receiving yard prop. Patrick Mahomes, he led everybody in rushing yards, 69. Everybody over the weekend, not just his team, everybody. He had more rushing yards than anybody over the weekend. He had 4 passing touchdowns, 378 yards. Oh, man, the Tyreek Hill play where he just turned it on into the little peace sign, that was phenomenal. What a game. And then Cooper Kupp in here with 9 catches, 183 yards, and a touchdown. And the Bucs forgot about him twice, right? Wide open twice. I don't know how it happens at the end of the game with the game tied there. I thought McVay would just run out the clock and play to overtime, and I love the aggressiveness there. So Kupp, 12 100-yard games this year, ties Michael Irvin, a record that he had set in 1995, the most in one season, 12. That's including regular season and postseason. And now he has another game to potentially break the record. Man, phenomenal stuff yesterday. And Josh Allen is not even on this board. If there's a 4th star, it's Josh Allen, right? 9 touchdowns and 0 picks in the postseason, and yet he is on the sidelines here. A phenomenal game. It's a great rivalry between these Chiefs and the Bills. Oh, man, unbelievable stuff. We'll break and we'll bring in Tino. We'll break all of this stuff down. As I said, we got some NHL games to talk about tonight. We got some picks, some props, some goal scorers, some assist props. We're going to talk a little bit about the NBA as well. Only 4 games in the association, but we do have some picks. But there's a whole lot more here to break down from what was the best weekend in the NFL, hands down. We're also going to take a early look at the championship games. 2 games I've already bet already, and I'm not going to lie. I'm on San Fran in the 3.5. This will be the 3rd straight week. I'm going to be on the Niners to cover. It's hard to beat a team 3 times in a row. I got some statistics and some numbers about that actually favoring the team that has won the 2 games in the regular season and going for that sweep in the postseason. And then I'm on the 7.5 Bengals. I think you can still get it in some spots, but 7.5 is just too much. It's too many points. So I am going to be on 2 dogs here to cover, but we'll get Tino's thoughts. I'm just curious to hear, his thoughts on how those games went this past weekend. Phenomenal stuff. We'll talk about it a little bit more here on Mean Streets. Keep her locked. Welcome back to Mean Streets here on Game Plus Network as we're bringing Tino Rodriguez. Is switched up. You got a little switch up here. You got a little Mike Piazza in the background. Oh, baby, looking sharp. Welcome in, man. How's it going?
Yeah, new office. Who dis? It is. It's nice, Meaney. It's nice. I had to treat myself a little bit, get some space. It's the COVID world it's still here, but it's changing a little bit. I got to get out of the room. I was in my room a little too much. I need some elbow room. Now I can move around, do some activities if I want to, right? Do some aesthetics.
Mean Streets gets nominated for an award, and you step up the game here a little bit. Yeah, I love it, man. Yeah. I dig it. Looking sharp. Love the setup as well. Man, what a weekend in the NFL. I feel like, we could talk about the picks and, where we went wrong, where we went right. Took a lot of L's in the wild card weekend, like props and stuff weren't good, but man, things really worked out. Besides that Packers and 49ers game, I had a same game parlay where I put in 6 picks and I lost all 6 of them. I had overs across the board and I was like, wow, I probably should have picked unders. But for the most part, man, like we talked up Gabriel Davis on this show. He found the end zone. We had some Mixon and Akers catches and receiving yard props. OBJ had another strong game. Book's kind of just giving out prop, like 3.5 catches for him is just silly. Like he's not on the Cleveland Browns anymore. Cooper Kupp went off again. I feel like it was a pretty good weekend in terms of bets and some props. But betting aside, those games were phenomenal, Tino, man. Like, what do you even say about that Chiefs and Bills game?
I'm glad I took the over. I was kind of where you were. I took a bunch of overs and then they all went under. And I'm like, I think I wrote in one of the group chats we were in, I was just like, I'm starting to worry a lot here. Like I can't keep taking overs. And not only were they going under, I mean, the Packers 49ers game, the 49ers didn't even score a touchdown until 5 minutes left in the fourth, right? So it's like, it wasn't even eventful football. So it lived up to the bill, right? And what's funny is I was watching it with some relatives who don't really watch football, and they were kind of amazed with the Bucs-Rams game. And I think everyone's kind of talking about how great the Bills and the Chiefs game is. But, 2 hours before kickoff there, we're watching the end of that Bucs game, and people are like, oh, my God, this is one of the best football games I've ever seen, right? This comeback, Brady's doing it again, 27-3 this time. And I literally uttered the word, do you think this is good? Wait for the next game. And, I mean, lived up to the hype just a little bit, right? Unbelievable game. Unbelievable.
I think we should walk through some of these and just kind of talk about them. But let's start with this Bills and Chiefs game. Yeah, unbelievable game. Back and forth on both sides. I love the aggressiveness at the start from McDermott on the first drive for Josh Allen, going for it right away, not settling for 3 points. I thought there was a moment in the game where it's 4th and 1 kind of on their territory where they could have went for it with Josh Allen and they decided to kick it away. But the biggest thing, a couple things, the way that ended, the defense that they played pretty soft, right? With 13 seconds to play soft like that. And you saw, I mean, there are a couple things where Travis Kelce talked after the game that wasn't really the play call. And he told Mahomes in the huddle, like, I'm not going to run the route that they just called. If the Bills play soft off that and they give us that play again, just give it to me and we'll get the 15, 20 yards. We'll be able to call a timeout. And then the way that they kicked it back, did you think that they should have kicked it through the end zone? I think like a squib kick, you killed 3 or 4 seconds there on that play.
To be honest with you, though, I still have confidence in Patrick Mahomes, even if he had 10 seconds left. As crazy as that sounds. This is how I broke it down. So I got in actually a little debate with one of my football friends because I kept uttering the words under 2 minutes after Tyreek Hill's touchdown that they scored with too much time left, right? And then Gabe Davis scored right away, and I'm like, they scored with too much time left. And then we had 24 points in under 2 minutes, and I was like, to put into perspective, I think the Rams-Bucs first half had 24 points in the entire half. So they scored 24 points in 2 minutes. It was insane. I had no idea what was going on, but like I just kept making that joke, and then it proved like 13 seconds was too much time. I think it was less about the squib kick. I don't love the defensive call there when Kelce ran open over the middle of the field. I know you want to – the way they kind of shielded it, it was like a deep bracket soft coverage, and they were kind of playing the out of bounds, assuming Kelce would go out. But they had timeouts. And good on the Chiefs leaving Kelce one-on-one to make that decision. They went bunch to the right, left Kelce, their best guy, right, in man-to-man coverage to do his thing. And he, gave the guy a shimmy and was wide open. But I would have loved to see with him one-on-one on the outside there for them to press him a little bit more. At least if you're giving him cushion, get up on him a little bit more because they had timeouts, so they didn't have to go to the sideline. I mean, he ran free. He was untouched for like 25 yards. So I think if I'm a Bills fan, I'm more mad about that. And then to say, the defense was dejected after that, like there's no way as soon as the Chiefs got the ball, anyone thought the Bills were going to win that game, right? You knew the Chiefs were getting the ball and the Bills weren't getting it. It was just that simple. So
you could see Mahomes or Allen's face. I mean, Josh Allen was phenomenal. He was so fantastic, man. The way he marched up the field and killed a lot of clock, and then found Davis, and then when Mahomes and company just scored that touchdown on the way back with the Tyreek Hill, like you could see Allen's face. He was so deflated. He just thought like, oh my goodness, how am I going to be able to get this done again? And then he did. I thought it was over, man. 13 seconds. I really thought that it was over. But we have to talk about overtime, don't we? Like, should they change the rule? Are you a fan of the overtime rules? Is anybody a fan of these overtime rules? It's pathetic, man.
But it's better than the field goal. So they changed it already the first time. So they changed it off a similar thing. I remember the year they changed the
2010.
rule. Yeah, because Brett Favre and the Vikings had a similar comeback, and they were home, and he led this comeback down. I think Sidney Rice scored the game tying touchdown or whatever it was, and he didn't get the ball.
Saints got the ball and kicked the field goal.
And it was how they kicked the field goal too. They like ran the clock down, like they took their time. It was very, very boring and uneventful of an overtime. I think everyone's inclination that this game is going to trigger that rule change is probably right. I don't know if they're going to make it like college though, because everyone's saying you make it like college, but it's obviously going to have to be different because I don't think it comes down to touchdown. You do 2 possessions in college, and then it's 2-point conversions. I don't think we're going to do that in the NFL. I don't think you go after 2 possessions. If they're still tied, you go 2-point conversions. I think you just keep letting them play until, a winner's decided. I'm not the biggest fan of a 2-point conversion thing. So
I want to say we were robbed, but we weren't. We were treated to amazing football. I just would have really liked to see Josh Allen. And again, I don't think it's the reason they lost. You have the number 1 defense. You got to make a play, right? You just have to. You have to make a play. I'm sure Josh Allen's kicking himself. Why didn't I call heads? Why did I call tails? Like, it really was the coin flip, man. That's it. Like, it's the coin flip.
Tails never fails, Meaney. Tails never fails. I don't blame him. I don't know, man. I've always been a heads guy. I'm always calling heads. But that was great. A couple other things. I mean, what Mahomes has done is, and he's going to get all the credit, but I still want to give a lot of love to Josh Allen. I thought he was just phenomenal in that game. And but Gabriel Davis is somebody we've talked a lot about. I got a lot of bold predictions completely wrong before we started this season. I had Gabriel Davis as a top 15 wide receiver. That didn't work out, but he trended up again towards the end of the season. There seems to be a connection. I think the price is going to be really steep to acquire this guy in the offseason in dynasty leagues, but man, if you can, I really do believe that. I really do believe in him, and Josh Allen looks his way. Emmanuel Sanders is done. Yeah,
Emmanuel Sanders is done. Beasley he's done too. Like, that's it. They got chemistry, man. I think. Oh, I'm curious. Where do you think he's gonna go and draft? We always see this across all sports. If players have good postseasons, they like skyrocket up draft boards. This guy's probably gonna be drafted as a top 35 wide receiver. That may be a steep price to pay, but man, he's linked to Allen.
The last 2 years, he's been a touchdown machine. Even his rookie year, he was scoring touchdowns, right? I mean, he was scoring touchdowns in bunches. So the funny thing is that I was actually trying to make a dynasty trade in a league I'm kind of thin at receiver, and it's because like Gabriel Davis is my wide receiver 3 or 4, and we were haggling back and forth, and I'm watching him score 4 touchdowns, and I was like, you know what? No deal. I'm good. I don't need any receiver help. I feel a lot better now that Gabriel Davis scored 4 touchdowns. But it's true. I don't know where you put this guy now. But, like, what happened to Stephon Diggs in that game? I thought he would have so much bigger of a performance. Dawson Knox, they tried to get him involved early. He had a drop. I don't think if these guys were involved, it would have changed anything, like, in the entirety of the game, right? I mean, it still was close and competitive, and the Bills still should have probably won that anyways. But it was very uncharacteristic. Like, these guys weren't involved at all, and they are who they are in this offense. So, right, I mean, the Gabriel Davis coming out party, but where was everyone else? Devin Singletary, hot start, and then after that, it was pretty much just the Josh Allen show. So I want to give him credit, but at the same time, man, Mahomes, dude. I know people don't want to like I get it. It's hard to root for him after a while now, but this is unreal. Like, the fact that he's in another AFC Championship game. We're looking for him to get to a 3rd straight Super Bowl. I mean, that's big company. That's big time. That's not easy. So, and the guy's what, 26, maybe 25 years old. I got to look at it. I think
he's 25. Yeah. I mean, my goodness.
That's unbelievable.
25 career passing touchdowns in the playoffs, the most by any quarterback through their first 10 career playoff games. Most passing touchdowns in his first 10 playoff starts. 25, Breeze at 23, Kurt Warner 23, Rodgers 22, Dan Marino 22. The stats are just, it's just nonstop, right? I mean, I spent last night, I watched part of the game again. Last night, I was like, I gotta watch this again. I may watch it one more time tonight. Yeah. I don't know. Like the way that game finished last night was crazy. And then Andy Reid, right? The comment from Andy Reid, when things get grim, just be the Grim Reaper. Crazy stuff, man. Awesomeness. I don't know what else there really is to say. I would not sell high on Gabriel Davis.
I would not. The one other note is you could have memed the entire final 2 minutes, from Andy Reid's face when Gabe Davis ran open again, to Josh Allen's face, to like Patrick. All of these guys' faces were just like, oh my God, like is this happening? Like I think they were as in awe as the fans at home. Like it was surreal. Like you don't just see that. What happened last night is, this weekend as a whole, I know we're just touching on this game, but that's the one thing I know we're loving how amazing that last game was. And it's great how it played out. This entire weekend of football, though, was, top notch. It doesn't get much better. And the NFL did itself a service, with the way it mapped out.
Oh, for sure, right? And they left the best for last, and they knew, right? It was going to be a shootout, and it absolutely was. I couldn't believe that Gabe Davis was open as much as he was, right? I know no Honey Badger, but like that, he broke ankles, like that little like shimmy there. That was phenomenal. He was wide open in the end zone. He completely fell. He really did break his ankle. But yeah, good stuff from Gabriel Davis. We'll continue things here. We're gonna just bear with us, guys. We're just recapping everything. You have any questions? I see one from Brennan Gilden. It's Mike Trout. It's behind me. Yeah, the Mike Trout is he signed that ball. I met him a few years ago in Toronto. I got his autograph a couple times. He's pretty good. He's always signing autographs. Whatever stadium he goes to, he takes the time to sign some autographs. It was funny. The moment I met him was after Chip Kelly's first game with the Eagles when they were playing Washington. And Trout is a big Philly fan. He's a big Eagles guy. They were playing Washington, and they just blew him out. It was Vic and Shady and Macklin and Deshaun. They scored like 50-plus points. And I remember, it's not a proud moment, but Trout was going over to some kids to sign for some kids. And I said, Trout, how about that Chip Kelly offense? He's like, yeah, buddy. And just immediately came right over to me. He eventually signed for the kids, which is great. But that was a cool moment. Mike Trout, yes. I would love to have Shohei's autograph, but it is what it is. All right, we'll take a break, and we will continue what was a wild weekend in the NFL. We got to talk Bucks and Rams as well. Keep your lock. Mean Streets continues here on Game Plus Network. Watching Mean Streets here on Game Plus Network. Chris Meaney and Tino Rodriguez _ on the Twitter machine. Gilden, I'm glad that the Wild worked out well on Friday. No sweat job at all on that Minnesota Wild pick. They were up 5-0. We like that one. We got some hockey picks here. The Wild are in action again against the Montreal Canadiens, who have been actually they've been okay. They got points in 3 straight games. They've yet to win 2 games in a row this season, which is wild because they were in the Stanley Cup Finals 6 months ago. But whatever. We'll get into the hockey in a little bit. George, Waste Management Open. It's, if anybody has an opportunity to go, you gotta go. It's unbelievable. Hole 16, completely worth it. We went 3 years ago for a bachelor party. We're going to talk Farmers Insurance tomorrow. The tournament gets underway on Wednesday. Torrey Pines will have a golf guest in tomorrow. But yeah, Waste Management Open, even if you're just like a loose golf fan, we went with some buddies who just like didn't really care. And we went early and we ran to hole 16 at 7 a.m. when the gates opened, and we did not regret any of it. They didn't even start serving booze until 9 o'clock. But once they started, this is a complete crapshoot. It's just everyone is yelling. It's unlike any golf tournament out there or any hole. It's just everybody checks that out, and it's in a couple weeks here. We'll talk about Waste Management Open in a couple weeks. So the Bucks and the Rams, another phenomenal game, right, Tino? Just phenomenal stuff across the board, like just drama, right? Just drama. It looked like the game was over. We had 27-3. 4 turnovers from the Rams in that game. Akers twice, had Cooper Kupp fumble in there. And then Brady, you can never count out Brady. And then all of a sudden the game was tied, and then drama at the end of it as well. What did you make of that game? And do you think Brady's done? Is that the last we'll see of Tom?
I'll answer that last part first. No, Brady's not done. And I also lived for the Chris Meaney tweets of, probably should cover Cooper Kupp. I just wanted to note that on the show. I was waiting to say it the entire time.
Twice.
We were talking about how is Gabriel Davis just running open. How is Cooper Kupp just run up the middle of the field, split safeties with what? I don't even remember how much time was left. It wasn't 13 seconds like the Chiefs, but I mean, we had like 30 seconds.
It was under a minute. It was under a minute. Yeah. They set up once Stafford ran up to catch up to Kupp off that big catch. I mean, they set it up perfectly with 4 seconds left to win the game.
But him fumbling too. Like, I just think about that the entire, like, just how everything unfolded. You knew the Bucks were going to come back. I'm surprised. I will say this because no one's kind of talking about it, and I don't know what the analytics people will say, but a part of me thought the Bucks were going to go for 2. I really thought they were just going to, once they started running the ball and like they were taking their time, I was like, I think they're going to milk the clock here, go for 2 and try to put them away. They didn't. That burnt them. Look, the Bucks shouldn't have won. Like they shouldn't have. Brady brought them back. I think the better team won yesterday in the Rams. And I want to pat ourselves on the back here because I know we don't talk about our futures and the advice we gave out, but I take our advice, believe it or not. And all 4 of the futures bets I put on before the playoff starts are alive. They're all in different avenues. I have the Rams to win the NFC in the Super Bowl. I have the 49ers Super Bowl, Chiefs Super Bowl, and then just the Bengals to win the AFC. So nice. I have a little skin in all 4. Now I'm kind of inching one way or another on some of these teams, but it's nice. I mean, having a Chiefs, Super Bowl future or just the Bengals to win the AFC, I have some room to do some stuff there. But we talked about it, that the NFC West going into all these futures had the best value. They were one of the most competitive divisions, and I'm actually really excited for that matchup. But we saw it in Week 18 how insane that game was in Los Angeles. I know you're on the 49ers side. They've won 6 in a row against the Rams, but I'm going to tell you right now, that scares me if I'm a 49ers backer. 6 in a row.
I know.
Rams might be due. They just got to win the one that matters. That's it.
I'm a coward. I think they're going to win. It's the same thing what I did last week, right? And last week I wasn't on this past weekend. I wasn't on the right side of money line plays. I liked the Bengals, but I'd leaned with the Titans to win the game. I liked the Packers to win the game, but I liked San Fran to cover. I was on the Bills straight up, and I was on the Rams straight up. I do think the Rams are going to win this game, but 3.5 again, it's tough, man. Division rivals, you have the history with these two teams and hanging around. Health is going to be obviously a big thing with the Niners. You saw so many guys limp off the field, Deebo Samuel and Kittle, and a lot of injuries again with this Niners team. And it is going to come down to Jimmy Garoppolo, and this is the one question I have with Jimmy. He seems to win playoff games without throwing the football all that much, whether it's special teams helping him out or defense helping him out. But it does feel like this is the Rams' time to get it done. They're going to host this game here. NFC Championship game, and if they win that, they host the Super Bowl. Like, it does feel like they have all the elements here, right? Von Miller getting after Tom Brady. We saw Tom Brady with an unsportsmanlike penalty. When does that ever happen?
My God.
There was a lot of craziness again in that game.
Yeah.
Gilden says, like, Evans burning Ramsey was certainly shocking, and then the Rams defense just all of a sudden, like, just spiraling out of control, right? And Tom's like, here we go. But I mean, that again was a phenomenal game. Let's switch gears over to Saturday about with the Packers and the 49ers. Do you view this as a choke job again from Aaron Rodgers?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just another one.
I already chirped in the chat. I took so much heat, especially from people at FTN, that I said these guys are out of their minds comparing themselves to the 1990s Bulls. When as soon as he said, I'm like, are they insane? He won one Super Bowl, and Donald Driver was on the team when he did it. I don't want to hear anything from anybody about this. They called themselves the Last Dance because it's going to be his last year in a Packers uniform. Okay, then say it's your last year. Don't call it a Last Dance when a 1990s Bull documentary just dropped. You knew exactly what you were trying to say. I saw the graphics. Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers are not Pippen and Jordan. I am sorry. They're very good at their positions. They are not them. It's different. It's just different.
We mocked that all year, and now they should take the heat, right? Those guys should take a lot of the blame. And Rodgers, I know the elements were bad, but I don't know the special teams. I had the 30-second coming in the game on special teams, and it certainly showed. But I mean, you got to make a play.
They start that game off. You think it's about to be a blowout. I mean, exactly what we talked about, right? A.J. Dillon, they ran it heavy in the cold with him, scores the touchdown. I mean, perfect drive. What happened after that? I still can't. I might have to even go back and rewatch that game. I know it was very lackluster, and the 49ers pass rush kind of started to get there a little bit on him, but what happened? I mean, Davante Adams just – it was
Adams and Jones. It was it. He didn't get anybody else. I mean, there was a lot of drops, but there was more drops on the San Fran side of things, right? A lot of guys were really dropping some balls. I thought Jimmy made some decent throws, and it was a bad weather game, and that's it. So I'll ask the same question. I mean, Rodgers is not done. He's going to come back. I think Brady's going to come back too. I think he's going to play again. I mean, he was on the top of his game. He was still really, really good this past season. But Rodgers, is he done? Does he want to go to Denver in a division with Patty Mahomes and Herbert? Does he want to do that? Does he want to leave the cold weather environment and go to like a dome team? Does he go to the Saints? I don't know.
Well, I
feel like he stays, but him and Adams are probably going to like talk.
That's the thing. So they're both free agents. So I think that's where the catch is, right? And I keep hearing that the $44 million that Rodgers will want basically is way over the $42 million that the Packers have. But what, you're going to give all that money to Rodgers, then what do you do with Adams? I don't think you're getting Rodgers without Adams. So there's the issue, right? So I don't know if you were to stay in Green Bay without Adams, like I would say you're crazy, like to think that he would do that. I'd rather take my chances and go somewhere else where things are remotely established because, I mean, it's like the Chargers that one year, right? I mean, number one defense, offense, and then the special teams loses. The 49ers, we keep joking about this. They scored with 5 minutes left in the game on a blocked punt. Like, that is how the Packers lost, but they've been losing in weird ways in meaningful games for how long now? I think if you're Rodgers and you want to end on top, and that it seems like if he's going to keep playing, that's the whole point, why would you stay in Green Bay? Especially if they can't bring back your best weapon. I don't know where he'll go. I know we can just speculate, but I wouldn't go back to Green Bay. If I were him, I would not.
I always, like, over the past couple of years, or even especially this year, I kept saying that, like, why would you leave? You got it kind of made, really, in Green Bay. The division is not that great. You've owned the division. It is an advantage to play at Lambeau, one that didn't work out for them yesterday. But past couple years now, there's been, LaFleur 2 years ago with, not going for it, settling for a field goal, some weird coaching decisions and some weird play calling, I thought, in that game on Saturday, and then the special teams thing as well. I've seen some people, Chicago, George, I don't think so. That's funny, but, I know you're just joking about that one. Coaster's Corner, Pittsburgh Saints. If Adams comes, Washington possible. Pittsburgh is interesting, right? You got Tomlin, good coach. You're going to have some good weapons there. The offensive line is not great. The defense is fine. You got a division there, which, you probably be the best quarterback, but you do have the Bengals and Joe Burrow coming up. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Rodgers. It's going to be a complete drama. Let's just recap this last one here before we break and turn the page into the championship weekend. So the Bengals found a way to get by the Titans. They were up early in that game. Tennessee started to get into a bit of a groove. There's a couple of things that stood out to me. Them going for 2. Now, this isn't a game changer, but when they tied the game at 6, they went for 2. I didn't understand that. Yeah. I just didn't see, why not just take the lead, go up 7-6 in that game. Tannehill, another game with turnovers, right? I thought, that's kind of
first play of the game.
Bugaboo all year. First play of the game. And I thought right away, when that play was happening, I thought to myself, This is obviously going to be a Derrick Henry run right away, right? Give it to the go. Give it to the king. And they just tried to overthink it. Now play action, we'll just throw it. Cincinnati was all over that. And then the play at the end, you could say that it was on A.J. Brown, but he whipped that ball in there and it popped up and it was good game. So the number 1 seed, the Titans, who nobody respected. Vegas wasn't giving them any respect. They're just completely bounced. And then we have this Bengals team that found another way to win the game, man, and another good one from Jamar Chase. What did you make from Cincinnati here? As they I don't want to say they're the team of the future, man, but this is two, Mahomes and Burrow, with no disrespect to Allen, this is going to be entertaining.
Amongst the people who disrespected the Titans, I will also put myself at the top of this. When we previewed, I was like, Meaney, I'm having a hard time not seeing the Bengals in the AFC Championship game. It's weird. The Titans had 9 sacks, and the Bengals still won the game. He didn't even throw a touchdown pass. I don't know how the Bengals actually won that. He got sacked 9 times. A weird interception too. Incredible play, by the way, by I'm trying to remember who picked that off. I'm supposed to remember this right now.
Bates, maybe? I know he had.
No, I'm talking about the Titans pick off when he scooped it off the ground, essentially, and it was reviewable. Got the Titans back in the game. Anyways, all that happened. Burrow didn't throw a touchdown pass, and the Bengals still won. So that should be concerning for people ahead. We'll preview the game, I'm sure, a little bit here. Little disrespectful of a line, being that these guys played earlier this season in Cincinnati. I know Kansas City will be home. And I also get, though, that everyone, going into that game last night is whoever wins this game is blowing out the Bengals, blowing out the blah, 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 all this. I just need everyone to caution themselves. And remember, we are in the AFC Championship game. So we're in the playoffs. I understand that the Chiefs D, after 9 sacks given up by the Bengals, it should, they should have a field day and should work in their advantage, especially being home. But I think it's going to be closer than people are kind of talking this up to be, because look, like the Bengals were going to be 6-point dogs, whether the Bills or the Chiefs won. I think they're a better team. We've been saying it, and their defense does not get enough love. I told you about Trey Hendrickson. He played amazing. Hubbard played really well. Sam Hubbard. That defense doesn't get enough love. It kept them in that game. It was a big factor in there. So we always talk about Joe Burrow and that offense, as we should. But Bengals D, super underrated, and a big reason they've made it to this point.
Extremely underrated. Then they've been winning the turnover game, the turnovers. They've been winning that part of the game. They've been getting a lot of turnovers, and Burrow has, for the most part, kept it pretty clean. Coaster's Corner was Hilton. Good call there. All right, we'll break, and we will preview a little bit here. Just early takes. Not going to lock anything in. We'll just walk through this together. Mean Streets continues here on Game Plus Network. Welcome back to Mean Streets here on Game Plus Network. So let's talk about these games. Let's bring up the Bengals one first, since we were just talking about them. Cincinnati and Kansas City. So 7.5 in some spots. Again, I already bet this. It's in our bet tracker at plus 7.5. I just think it's too many points. I really do. We've talked a lot about Kansas City not covering all year. I believe both of us were on the Bengals to cover when KC went into Cincinnati a couple weeks ago. Joe Burrow's stats in that fourth quarter game when they clinched the AFC North, that win over the Chiefs, he was 22 for 24. He had 271 passing yards and a touchdown. Jamar Chase was phenomenal, obviously, in that game. He had 266 yards, I do believe. I think this is going to be tough, right? Clearly, it's going to be really tough. There's a lot of inexperience on this Bengals squad, and you're going up against a lot of experience with Kansas City and what they just did, and I totally get all that. Total at 53.5. Seems a little high. I think it opened up at 55.5 and has come down a little bit. But I mean, we just kind of touched on it. I think Cincy plus 7.5 is the play here, man.
Yeah, I'm worried though. I'm not gonna lie.
I did say Mahomes.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a lot of points, and we keep sitting here and saying, "Oh, the Chiefs never cover." Blah blah blah. Right? We still stayed into the postseason. They've covered both games. 7.5. Both these games. They're like taunting us essentially, right? Like the taunting penalties that were called over the weekend, the unsportsmanlike with the hook. We got a 3.5 and a 7.5. I know I'm kind of previewing the line we can talk to you yet, but like it makes you overthink. And so, yeah, they should keep this close. It's just I've been saying it. The Chiefs are getting healthy and clicking at the right time. We talked about this earlier in the season. Just because I'm not locking anything in, I'm going to talk about this as a whole. And it took them a while to get going. But the defense carried this forever during the regular season. We've talked about this already. And now all of a sudden we had no Kelsey and Hill was hurt. I mean, Tyreek Hill peace signed somebody with 20 yards left to go to the end zone yesterday.
I know.
That is scary. That is scary. I don't know who in the Bengals is going to cover him. Yeah, it was unbelievable. Obviously, we keep saying that. That's the only way I can describe it. Travis Kelsey, right? It took him all game, and he scores the game winner. He's so reliable. Hill, Hardman, Kelsey, who else scored for every receiver scored for them yesterday? Right? Pringle. Mahomes scored a rushing touchdown. Talk about clicking on all cylinders. It's just I'm rooting for the Bengals. I would probably take the points. It's just the Chiefs are a wagon, man. The Chiefs are a wagon. Yeah. They're getting hot at the right time. The Tyreek Hill peace sign was it for me. That's what I wanted to say.
That was a moment, man. I jumped up off the couch and I was like, wow, he gave the peace sign. You're right, with 20 yards to go, and he just blew by him. Burrow was 30 for 39, 446 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. It was a 34-31 final. Quickly here, the other game, the Rams and the 49ers here. So LA 3.5 if you want to back the Niners, plus 155. Yeah, this is it is tough. It's tough and it's not with some of the you hear that it's tough to beat a team 3 times in a row, but this from football perspective. Since 1970 NFL merger, there have been 21 instances where a team swept a team in the regular season and then had a third battle in the playoffs. The sweeping team's gone 14-7 in those games. So they actually, it's a pretty good record, to be honest. But we don't really have a whole lot of time because we were too excited to talk about the other ones. But
yeah,
I think you are leaning Rams here to finally get it done. Third time's a charm, I'd say.
Yes. I'm emotionally invested. Also, one more thing. Odell's hands, I am convinced, just have glue on them. We talked about it earlier this week. Unbelievable. He had the one catch on the sideline. It looked like he bobbled it. He just took the hand off, and the ball was still just. He's
3.5 his catch prop. 3.5. His receiving yard prop was 48.5. The week before it was 3.5 for the Rams. We may not get that anymore for
probably
ever.
Not, yeah.
The rest of his career. Let's go back to Cleveland. We'll take a quick break. I'll come back and do some NHL picks here solo, and then we'll recap here with Tino. Lots still to get to here on Mean Streets. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Mean Streets here on Game Plus Network. 7 games on the ice. I got a lot of picks here, some shot props, some goals, and just some straight up picks. We'll start with some shot props, and I'll be honest, given some of these to George and Tino here, a lot of this wasn't available. Books are being really, really slow. I'm not liking it, but I feel like we can find these guys. We may get Hintz juiced up and Eriksson Ek juiced up a little bit, but I think he can put them into parlays. For Hintz, he's cleared now in 6 straight games, 19 shots in his last 3 games. He has at least 4 shots in 4 straight. So if you see 3.5 at plus money, I would jump on that. But I'm seeing minus 160 at Caesars is a little too steep to kind of get involved as a single, but I think he can put him in some parlays. Joel Eriksson Ek, too. He's been 2 games since he's returned to the lineup. The first one was a little rough. He dealt with COVID. He dealt with an injury. The last game, he played 22 minutes. And he had 7 shots on goal. He's cleared 2.5 in 10 of his last 12 games. We'll pick on the Habs here in a little bit. Shea Theodore, he's cleared 2.5 shots in 7 straight, and he's had at least 4 shots on goal in 6 of those games. I like the spot here against Washington. Pastrnak, of course. David Pastrnak, Nathan McKinnon, both these guys I think in pretty good spots. It's the usual suspects that you could always put into parlays. And then Tyler Toffoli, I think you can put in as a single. He's got 10 shots, 2 goals, and 4 points in 3 games since he's returned to the lineup for the Habs. The first game he played 17 minutes, and then 18 minutes, and now 19 minutes in his last game, so the ice time has increased. I do like the mini players more if you're looking for parlays, but I think you can include Toffoli as just a single. Let's keep things rolling here. Tino, what else do you got for us here on the board? Goal scorers. So Roope Hintz, this is a Roope Hintz night, right? He's got goals in back-to-back games, 4 in his last 6. He's got 9 points in his last 6 games. A matchup here against the Philadelphia Flyers. It doesn't get much better than that. Joel Eriksson Ek, right? We like him to have 3 shots. Hopefully he can find the back of the net at plus 210. Chris Kreider leads the NHL in goals. He's actually tied with Ovechkin with 29 goals quietly. He's on a 5-game goal streak. He's got 8 goals over that span. He scored a hat trick in his last one, just like Timo Meier the other night, right? Timo Meier had the 5 goals. We had to go back to him. I like to go back to Kreider here. He's just red hot. And then Valery Nichushkin and Evgeny Dadonov. These guys are kind of long shots. Dadonov's only got the 1 goal in the past couple games, but 7 shots in his last 2 games. I think Marchessault is a safer bet, but I'm looking for a longer shot here. And then Nichushkin returned to the lineup in his last game. He had 2 shots and a goal in 17 minutes. A good spot against the Chicago Blackhawks. Continuing to move along here. We got some point props here. Kaprizov, plus 140 for 2 points. He's got at least 1 point in 15 of his past 17 games. He's got 15 points over a current 8-game streak. He's got 5 multi-point games over that span and 9 multi-point games over his last 17. I like Mika Zibanejad to get an assist. Hopefully it's on a Kreider goal. Bergeron to get an assist. Carlson to get an assist. And then Tyler Seguin, we hit this the other day at plus 240 for an Apple. He has an assist in 3 straight games. And then let's move on to some of the picks here. So the Dallas Stars minus 145. You can get them plus money to win in 60 against the Flyers. The Golden Knights is my dog here tonight against Washington, plus 110. Max Pacioretty and Mark Stone are close to returning to the lineup. Pacioretty traveled with the team. I don't think he's going to play tonight, but I do like them. Minnesota and then Colorado on the puck line here. I know Habs plus 1.5 always in play, but I think what we can get behind is Minnesota shot props, Minnesota goals here. The past 3 games, they played Colorado. The shot attempts were 69-55. The shots were 46-30 in favor of the Avs. They played Dallas. The shot attempts were 112-44 in favor of Dallas. The shots were 51-22. They played Vegas. The shot attempts were 90-42. The shots were 53-27. They've been heavily outplayed over their last 3 games. I think you can have some fun with some of these Minnesota players. Hartman, Kaprizov, Zuccarello, all these guys to have some points. Joel Eriksson Ek is on the board. No curse here. He's going to get it done. Minnesota, Colorado, Boston, New York. Kind of a chalky parlay there. All those teams to win in 60. And then the under in Boston between the Ducks, under 6. The Ducks don't have a lot of offense, and John Gibson's good enough to kind of hold the fort down. So it's not a crazy game. Only a couple more minutes left, but we're going to bring in Tino, talk a little basketball. Don't go anywhere. All right, we're going to switch gears and talk a little association. Tino, as always, a little rapid fire to finish out the show. What do you got for us?
Luckily, there's not that many basketball games here. So I'll just start off with an easy one. It's a fan pick here from the chat, but I was on this as well because whenever I see a team like this and I know they're really injured, I just jump on them and hope for the best here. I know they're 12-11 on the road, but the Chicago Bulls should not be an almost even money team with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Oklahoma has lost a million games in a row. The Chicago Bulls have lost 4 of the last 5. They did beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. They still have DeMar DeRozan, and DeMar DeRozan has been, as advertised. It's just hard to look past the fact that they just got handled by the Orlando Magic on the road. So that's kind of where the reservations comes in, and I think that's where the line is. But I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to take them -2 here to win and get that over at DraftKings. It's -110. I wouldn't really do it for -115 because you can get a money line at -130. I don't think it'll be a close game, but that's something to note. I'm going with the road dog here, and this is a team I just want to talk up because I mentioned this to you, and I thought it was insane that this happened, and we didn't talk about it on the show. I'm taking the Indiana Pacers on the road +130 here. They are disheveled. The New Orleans Pelicans also disheveled. Neither of them have their star players in Brandon Ingram or Domantas Sabonis, but the Indiana Pacers beat the Golden State Warriors in Golden State in overtime. So an extra period, Golden State tied, and they still won without any of their 5 starters or 6 men. That was enough for me to see. They beat LA and Golden State on the road. They played decently well against the Suns. They're staying on the road here on this 5-game road trip. And I'm sorry, I just don't buy the Pelicans. They won 3 out of the last 5. They beat the Knicks, but who can't beat the Knicks? I am not talking about that game today. I think the Cavs covered, but I never get the Knicks right, so I'm not mentioning it. I'm taking the Pacers as my dog today. And I also like Florida in college basketball. I talked about it with Brandon Gilden. If you want to see my reasoning behind that, I just think Florida is a significantly better team than Ole Miss. College basketball is weird, but, Florida Gators, they were a ranked team. They've been losing. They've only won 3 out of the last 5, but Ole Miss has lost 4 in a row. They're 9-9 at home. The Florida Gators are 12-6 on the year. 1-5 in conference for Ole Miss. I just don't think this should be a -4 spread. I don't agree with it. So those are my 3 picks.
We're going to really dive into some college basketball. Madness is just right around the corner. Now that football is slowing down, we'll have a lot of college basketball on this show, and we will announce the giveaway tomorrow. Leave your best bet, your best pick of the day in our FTN YouTube page to get into a draw. We're out of here, but over the last 3 games, the halves have been outshot. These are the shot attempts. 273 to 141. Have some fun with the Wild tonight, guys. From Tino, myself, Chris Meaney, thanks to George, and we'll be back tomorrow. Have a good one. Cheers.